So the total that was approved within the project was just shy of 1.8.
That's what I thought.
1.79.
So essentially, if we approve this, it would already be within the scope of the 1.8 million. It wouldn't be any extra cost to the district, although I tend to believe if the change orders would have come in way less than 1.8 million, we would have had an excess left over to put somewhere else, correct?
The way the board has structured this bond funding, yes. The last part is to the general fund, so any savings we would see would be directly in the district general.
So we're eating into that technically.
It was already pre-allotted, so.
Right. But I'm saying if we didn't use it, let's say if we didn't use it, we would be dumping it back into the general fund anyway in the end of the project. So we are using it, so we won't be dumping it in, is what I'm saying. So we're just eating more into the 1.8 million.
It's already.
Well, it is, but if I borrowed 200,000 and only use 100,000, I'm taking 100,000 back to the bank. That's what I'm trying to say.
Correct. Yeah. Whatever would be left over.
Regardless of how much I borrowed, yeah.
That's what would come back to the general.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to get you clarity on that. Thank you.
To your first question, it was through what we said, many different design changes. It got lost in the shuffle of architects and everybody.
So these rooms,
Until they ripped out,
I was
until they ripped out the
gonna
ceiling,
say,
they ripped it up.
yeah. You call it a core room now. I don't want to call it a course, but I'm not any
Chorus.
wrong.
No, yeah.
Is
But
it-
that's where they would have chorus.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
What is a core room? I said, well, I don't know, I'm gonna ask. So I thought I would ask you. So these rooms became in existence when the middle school edition was put on? Or
No, so the band room was already there.
Okay.
And had not
Already
been touched in years.
Okay.
And that's when they were tearing the ceilings down to like do some of the new wiring, the Wi-Fi, hotspot, like all of that type of stuff. And I'm probably talking like Eric language right now, which is not going well. So like when they were looking at all the wiring and tearing the ceilings out, that's when they realized how much these gentlemen have just been
Piecing it together.
Like they've just been piecing it together for years. Yes.
And then the choral room,
So that had a lot of built-in cabinetry. And so to make his space bigger, to have chorus in there instead of always utilizing the auditorium, because now with having middle school and high school there, that auditorium is going to be used more, so we can't always count on it as a classroom. So tearing out all that cabinetry, his ceilings, and working through that, again, is when, Discovery kind of all together at that same time, that they did not have adequate sound equipment. And then, of course, the old tech room didn't have any.
so the music room, was that always in existence?
The middle school one?
Well,
It's
yeah,
the
great.
band and the chorus room, yes.
Upper learning commons
No,
sound system.
that would be, no, that was not a music room, that was the technology office.
Okay, so this is becoming a music room.
Yes, for middle school, yes.
Becoming for middle school. Okay, I just want to try to get acclimated with what middle school.
And some of it might make more sense when we do our walk.
Right, and that's what I kind of want to visualize right now, at least to see as we go. Good.
John?
Right.
Just a couple questions. All three of them, all three of them, 33, 34, and 35, all have a material C attached list that totals $982.15. I haven't been able to get it to total that, but that's okay. Is it under raceways, wire and cable, lighting fixture, is that the list? I don't really know who to direct my question to, so I'm just kind of, I'm not sure if it's Dr. Berryman or Mr. Schulvig there.
For that.
It's in regards to the document.
He specifically works on those directly, so that would be, I can't answer that.
Okay, and not on your, okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, so then I guess the rest of my questions would still be for him too, because on the page that has the details on it, it says the system price per room as quoted is $19,830, but it doesn't say how many rooms. Is it are we to assume one room per,
Yeah, each change
per
order should be.
contract? Okay, okay. And then, it says under additional shipping, if we're to use the warehouse for any reason, the B&B's integration warehouse, that additional cost is not included in the quote. How much would that additional cost be? I guess, are we gonna, we would need to use that, number one, and if we don't need to use it, it doesn't matter the cost. Okay, good, that's awesome, thank you, you're doing awesome. And then, there's an additional 3.99% processing fee. Do we pay these bills? Because I don't know, and I apologize for asking a lot of questions. Once I get my feet on anything, we'll be good, and I won't bother you as much, I promise. But do we pay these bills by credit card? Because it says if we do, there's an additional fee.
No, because of the way the bond operates, we pay via check.
Okay, so none of these things would apply.
Nope.
Awesome, okay, great, thank you so much.
And Donna, if you would,
Yeah.
would you be willing to send us a list of questions that were not answered for Victor?
For next week.
For next week, and we'll make sure. we have that.
Yeah, the first question, I'm sorry, if you would just type it up. Switch back.
And if there are any additional, we'll give it to Victor, and Victor's gonna be with us on the walkthrough, and we'll make sure that he's at the meeting as well.
That's great, thank you, thank you.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
On F, municipal items,
Yeah, so most of these municipal items are from the older weight rooms. We added on new weight rooms and cardio rooms within the project. A lot of these items are now obsolete, now we have newer equipment, so they will be auctioned off. So, any other items besides, mostly the weight equipment.
And that equipment was donated to us, so this is just nice profit for us.
Yep, so that'll be
The
held.
weight room that's in the municipal.
Never sold
that's-
weight.
okay.
never sold.
We need, as I said, we have just.
Yeah, it was donated, they said
around
we could sell it and make some money.
All the items sold, usually, I would say the last time the weight equipment sold was pretty reasonable.
Good, okay, so you had it on Tuesday. Well, that's great.
Sorry, we were just saying, Delone had bought some of our older weight.
He was
Oh,
asking
okay.
how-
It
Oh, yeah,
usually
right,
does
right, I
sell.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, our last round of weight equipment sold fairly well in the municipal, so this is a PPE, the rest of
As
it.
the phone, whoever's on the phone is,
That was Danielle.
All right. Yeah. We're gonna discuss the 2025, 2026 ACT operation budget amendment.
Yeah, I have some concerns with this. Some things to consider. I don't want to use the word misled, but I feel like they weren't given accurate information. And I have a big problem with this 19.36%. Our quarterly payment seems to have gone up, or more information disclosed, to the tune of $6,000, and that's per quarter. So that would be an additional $24,000. We have a $15,000 stipend for the superintendent of record. In addition, they hired an assistant superintendent. So,
Assistant Executive Director.
okay, assistant executive director, okay, so,
Just to help with all the.
yeah, and I understand that part, but this is becoming a way more expensive project that's gonna fall on the taxpayers. If something is not changed, and I know that there's a public meeting this Thursday evening for people to come to. But I just right now in good faith, until we get factual information, I just don't, in clarification on this, I just don't think that we can consider this at this point. I know we're not voting tonight on this, we're voting on it next week. But we need the tech program, and this is where I would really like us to really consider and hone down on this, what we're gonna do with Mams, Maple Avenue, because this is a lot of money, a lot of money. That's some concerns I have.
And Janelle, tagging in on what you said, I agree with you. Here's what really bothered me too. They mentioned here several times that some of their salaries weren't consistent with other districts. Well, are we just finding this out now? Meaning, is Sean just finding out that we weren't paying people enough over there? That's what I'm asking.
Well, that was the thing that was crazy to me, because we approved this budget in May.
Correct.
And like, why is it just, like, a few months later, you just all of a sudden decide that, oh, we need to pay these people more?
Correct.
To me, that's not in the ordinary process.
Correct.
Donna's got her hand up. She's the only one that raises her hand.
Go ahead, Donna.
I'm sorry, I follow Robert Lord. My question is, under collective bargaining negotiations, it says we're still in progress when the original budget was submitted for approval. Some of the assumptions that were made were inaccurate, and the amounts adjusted for the amendment is $24,532. Add that to all the rest that's on this list, $57,000 for the additional second teacher, and $15,000 for superintendent, $30,000 for an additional personnel, $127,000. So, I'm sorry, I'm sharing
So,
from my.
let me jump in here real
Wait,
quick.
she's still.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're still right.
Am I still on time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry.
So, I apologize for sharing my frustration with this, with all of you, but there's some, with what I've experienced in years past, there is a major red flag with it. And one of the red flags is when you're in collective bargaining negotiations, there's no assumptions made. No one can afford to do that. I understand we're a small school system, so you might be able to afford it a little bit more than a larger school system, but you can't make assumptions. So I would be very uncomfortable moving forward with this until we can get more information back from our staff. I don't know how long this has been happening or going on for. Are we just, and we're just noticing this now, how does staff have any recommendations on where we're gonna find the funds for this? Like, and I understand it's not, we're not gonna be required to pay the $127,000. We'll have to pay the $24,600, but that's add this to everything else. And weren't we just talking about snow removal? I think we're already at the 6-foot level, or mark here. We gotta kind of pull this back a little bit.
I want to apologize for interrupting you, Dominique. I thought you were going to take the prep there, so I apologize for that. What I encourage all of you to do, and the general public, is to go to this meeting on Thursday night at Gettysburg High School at 6 p.m. Now, there is a format. You go on the ACT website, you'll be able to submit email questions. Flood them with your questions. Get them to them so that we can try to get it processed. And show up and talk to these people and tell them how you feel and ask them for some sort of plan, some sort of what are they going to try to do and move it. We all want this program to succeed. We all know we're the only county, I think, in the Commonwealth that does not have a technical institute and for trade. So we desperately need to try to solve this problem so that we can move it forward, but it's got to be done in a way that makes sense.
That's been one of our issues, is we haven't been getting information. We've just been asked to vote on things that we don't know anything about.
So if need be, and I'll say it's not going to reply, if need be, according to the documents that are in front of us tonight, if need be, between us in Littlestown and the Gettysburg Area School District, we have over 50%. So I would be quite comfortable with partnering with Gettysburg to try to work this through. I mean, this needs some work.
But I'll just make a remark, if that's okay, Mr. President. Last Monday, the Gettysburg School District approved this recommendation that we're looking at here tonight by a vote of 7-2.
Okay.
I was one of the 2 members that dissented from that vote. We had the executive director there in person, and I'd be happy to invite Sean here in person if you would like me to for next Monday. I can't guarantee his availability. I know, and I agree with Mr. Yerger, as if you can humanly be there on Thursday night at Gettysburg High School Auditorium, I would highly recommend that you try to be there. I have not spoken to anybody in Adams County on a board or community member that is against career and technical education. We're all in on that, I believe. We see the need for it. We're turning away 150 kids a year in Adams County that would like to get that education and become, skilled in the trades, which is greatly needed, no doubt about it. So I think what Mr. Yerger suggested about having those questions in advance would be great. My rationale, and I explained to my board why I voted no on this, was mostly regarding the stipend for the superintendent of record, and nothing against that person. I just wanted to see a listing of performance responsibilities so I could feel a little bit better about setting a precedent on that stipend, which is fairly significant for 5 school districts. York School of Technology, 14 schools, a very large school, all the things that are involved with that. I get why a superintendent of record deserves a stipend there. I'm just not sure where we're at right now, and being part of the Gettysburg School Board, I'm just not sure it's really justifiable. But I got outvoted, and so I'm moving on with the rest of the board. But I do plan to be there Thursday night, and I plan to be listening and asking some questions in advance. I know they're not planning on doing Q&A afterwards. We're a little disappointed about that. But at least we can get our questions in advance, and we can at least maybe get most of our board members who are passionate about this interest, at least on a level playing field where we have the same information. So that part, I think, will be good. I'm just really anxious about trying to move this forward somehow, some way, because it's sorely needed in the county.
Agreed.
Good.
Okay. 26, 27, I'm sorry, 2026, 2027 capital projects.
Yes, so at FPS, the committee agreed to push forward the 3 projects. It'd be annual maintenance, which is something we have every year, the replacement of security cameras here at Alley Creek, and the replacement of the fire alarm system at transportation. The other items that are paused until the walkthrough are replacing the carpet at district office and in parts of ACES, seal coating and painting behind ACES, the playgrounds, and looking at potentially reconfiguring the parent loop here at ACES. So those are all paused until the committee walks through, and we'll discuss that at the November meeting. If they make it through to the full board.
Okay, Tom, step in here. Oh. Questions? Yeah. So when we're talking about the security cameras, I attended the FDS meeting, I watched the presentation. I have a bit of concerns because I went back and looked at the 10-year capital projects plan, and this was never on it.
This came about last year in between when the approval was for capital projects last year to this year. So the 10-year plan is always a year-to-year basis plan, and in any year something become obsolete or we identify something that escalates up the plan. Last year it was identified that cases cameras, and this was the first opportunity that FDNS and the board saw that recommendation.
And give us some ideas on the annual maintenance repair, just so we can be very clear.
Yeah, so typically it's roof maintenance, so if a leak would come through flashing, that comes through caulking,
normal yearly maintenance items, right?
Correct, yep.
Just trying to get an idea of what you're doing.
Yep, that's something he just puts through as a line item cost for those types of small end repairs for all the buildings when they do a walk.
And then replace maintenance, transportation, fire alarm system. I have a big problem with that since we got rid of our buses, and that building is relatively empty. As far as we don't have a mechanic, we don't have, I mean, I know we have Laura Mace, I get it, and probably Victor Tron, I get it.
And his admin assistant and 2 maintenance people and 3 ground people.
Wait, I thought Price was gonna use our break room and they were still gonna use
Correct.
things if they need maintenance.
They correct, but our employees are still 3 ground people, 2 maintenance. Victor-
But what I'm saying,
Yeah.
so what Dwayne's saying, we are still using the building for other things, like Price needs to
The
use it.
building is quite full of either supplies or.
Is Price using it?
They use the bathrooms and the break room, they clock in and out, they meet with Laura, so they are frequently in and out and use that.
So there's no monetary value we're getting out of them,
They.
other than they're driving the bus?
No, we do have a monetary value on the use of our lot map facilities.
Oh, you do? Okay, so it's not just fuel.
No, we also added up fees to use our staging.
Because it seems to me, and this is the way I was thinking about it, there's so many people over there, it's like putting a chandelier in a condemned building. I mean, since we did move to outsource our buses, all of a sudden, we're going to spend $26,000 to put smoke detectors. And I get the safety issue, I get that. But to me, it just seemed like, you know, like buying new bus tires after we sold buses. You know, I just couldn't, I can't even fathom the thought process there.
The building's still very much work.
Is that our main, only maintenance building? I mean, for like our lawnmowers and stuff? or-
Transportation and maintenance.
So is that where they put the mowers and ground
Yeah,
equipment?
so all the ground equipment's there, all of our maintenance supplies are there, all of our custodial supplies are there. Overflow, so municipal items for storage, we have a lot of.
Good, that makes,
It's a lot of open space, but it's all filled, just items of different uses.
Okay, good thoughts? On the payment of invoices, general fund, I just, from 1 through 7, does anybody want to talk about it for that?
I just want to ask Tom about capital projects. Is Brian Scott getting them? What baseball, softball, group?
That is turf track and field, you have that representative that gets paid.
For,
That's turf track and field, that's just the name, so when it says the vendor name, it's still on turf track and field, just the name that shows up is his name, so basically.
no, but I mean, what is it for?
The athletic, remember we approved him to do design of the athletic.
So that's
spaces.
back in November of last year.
Yeah, these are progressive payments.
Okay, so we just approved almost 40,000 recently.
This is the progressive payments to get up to that. He has to hit certain milestones before we